1 year. 1 year ago, Hello Neighbor, Welcome to Ravenbrooks concluded its first season, and since then, so much has changed. Mainly, we now have a promising future for this franchise, and many content creators have begun to revisit it. That 1 year gap allowed so many people to look back on the series, including me, and appreciate it for what it is. So finally, after months of waiting, many requests, and delaying that video for another month, let's finally recap, review, and dissect Hello Neighbor Season 2, frame by frame. You see what I did there? Get it? Like the meme? Welcome back to Amelia's channel, where I make a 30-minute video essay on the highly anticipated second season of the Hello Neighbor TV show. This will recap the season for anyone who wants to be informed. I will review the show to see if I still like it, and explain the lore, story, and secrets being shown. And unlike Tiny Builds, I will keep up on those promises and not do something stupid like scrap a ton of features that were promised. But before we could get into episode 1, we need to talk about the history of season 2. Please don't skip this section, I need the watch time. Season 2, from the looks of it, was being developed alongside the first and third. This allowed for some teasers of it to be shared even before the end of season 1. At the time, we only knew about the weather station and the appearance of the guest. Although on February 10th of 2024, it was announced that the series would receive a second season, along with a lengthy clip of the first episode. Also, MatPat dropped his theory video on the same day, which is kind of funny. We would start to get teasers and images, which led the community to theorize. Later, we would get more short clips from the series along with trailers, even a fan-made one. We would also get the series on Prime Video, along with the fact that season 2 would premiere 1 week before YouTube. So spoiler alert, it never went to Prime Video, which... I mean, that's pretty weird. I mean, there were people who were upset about this because they could get spoiled and just couldn't wait another week for the Toy Story show. Hello, well, that sucks, but gotta deal with it, I guess. One gripe I have with the teasers we got of the series was that it kind of spoiled a lot, especially the teasers for the first season, which basically showed off everything that happens, including how it ends. It just would have been cooler to see the scenes like Nikki's panic attack when the episode premiered. It also felt like we could piece the story together, but fortunately, there are so many great scenes and plot twists that we never knew would happen. Although there wouldn't be as much hype for the season if it wasn't for the baddest and MatPat too, I guess. Yeah, out of nowhere, they would upload a reaction of the show with Postra, which honestly marketed this franchise so much better than a Mr. Beast video. This exists, why did they do this? Their positive reactions to the series made people more optimistic for the franchise, and also helped revive the series as a whole, so that's pretty cool. In August, it would be revealed in the least cryptic way that the series would premiere on Halloween. Kind of. The first 2 came out on the 10th, then every Thursday, a new episode would premiere. And on November 10th, the season finale would premiere, this time on a Sunday. Thankfully, I swear to God, it got so annoying watching the series during my English class. So there you go, that's the history of this season. If you want to know about the first season, then boom, here you go, watch it first. And if you haven't already, go watch the show yourself and then come back. It's genuinely really good, and I would recommend you form your own opinion before watching my video. The team behind the show really deserves a review, so link in description. I highly recommend you watch it for yourself. Okay, now we could get into episode 1. Oh yeah, I just want to mention that this episode is called Crowface Schmoface. Crowface Schmoface, you know, Crowface Schmoface. Like, is that a pun? What does that mean? Crowface Schmoface. We're welcome back to this masterpiece of a series with a flashback of the neighbor's childhood. It's Halloween day, and young Mr. Peterson, along with his brother, try to join the Inventors Club, with the likes of the baker, the mayor, Leslie, and the principal. Woo! Unfortunately, young Theo sounds completely stupid and doesn't get in.
Groovy! I dig tests!
Dog, this kid is supposed to be in high school. Who acts like this, like generally? However, this spooky, scary skeleton guy will let him join if he breaks into the weather station late at night. Wow, dude, we already broke the Hello Neighbor canon in the first minute. So first of all, Mr. Peterson doesn't have a brother. Actually, the opposite, he has a sister. Second of all, when the neighbor was a teen, he would visit the weather station when it was still open. You know why? Because his parents built the damn place. So why has the lore changed? And also, where did it all come from? I mean, the games were about a middle-aged man who acts like he's been lobotomized. Well, it all comes from the books, made from 2018 to 2021. They initially came out to further develop the world of Raven Brooks and to explain everything that happens. However, the author, Carly Annie West, just went diabolical and made up a ton of stuff like luck machines and retconning parts of the first act. Yeah, these books were pretty good. And initially the series was supposed to adapt the novels. However, the pilot sucked and they didn't go through with the adaptation. Now I will get into all that more in a later video, but for now, just know that this series is adapting the elements of the books and games. However, specifics and other stuff like that will differ, just like the FNAF movie. Oh my bad, I got carried away for a second. So the bros go into the place and surprise surprise they get jumped. They weave the enemy combatants and run into the catacombs. Although they get jumped again, and Theo has to crush the oppositions with the boxes. I'm sorry, who wrote the script? Who wrote the I wrote the script, but still, why would it Dog, this is why I fell off. By the way, I love this. This is so cool, even though it makes no sense. The brothers run for a bit, but are then cornered near a pit and run it back for a third round. And I mean, they literally fight it to the death, beating up each other. But then, after a set of inconvenient events occurs, Theo's brother falls into the pit and ends up in Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. And although the last Peterson is okay, the young mayor tries to leave no witnesses, implying that he wants to kill him too in Hello Neighbor. But then suddenly, kaboom! The pit gets filled up and everyone runs away except Mr. Peterson as he watches his brother scream in agony. By the way, this all happened because this dork wanted to join an after-school club. What a nerd.
Yes, I am!
So we are finally brought back to the future, where Trinity decides to investigate the town while trying to find out the meaning behind the golden coins. She brings Nikki to the abandoned amusement park, where we learn that the kid is really traumatized. I mean, he's doing better than before, but there's still a drastic difference between season 1 and season 2 of him. Trinity totally understands him, so she has the bright idea to bring his rival along with the adventure to cheer him up. How thoughtful. Hope she keeps up her generosity in the following episodes. After the banter between the three, the guest appears. He's back, once again, spying on kids. The group tries to chase him, but are unable to catch up, so he just looks cool for a shot and then vanishes. We cut to the classroom, and there's some back and forth between the gang and Delroy about his confirmed spot in the group.
The only reason you're here ever is for detention.
Boom! Roasted, extra crispy.
Dog, what? That's not a roast. She didn't cook. That was not hard. The gang don't want to continue their investigations after getting kidnapped, which is reasonable. However, Trinity manages to convince everyone to join back. Oh yeah, and Myrtle's spying on them and stuff. Okay. They all do a nefarious smirk and then officially team up. Oh wait, never mind. So I think it's worth mentioning that I was watching the premiere for this in my English class, where we were reading the Odyssey, and when this scene happened, I instantly knew she ate the sugar cookies. So for some ungodly reason, when I realized that, I shouted, "She ate the sugar cookies!" in the middle of the class. I just wanted to say that to my friend who was also watching, but I had my earpods in and didn't know how loud I was. And the teacher just glances at me, looking like the smile emoji, not knowing what the hell I just said. If you're watching this, Misty, I'm sorry for not putting my phone in the phone chart. It was for a good cause. Please don't change my seat. So, getting back to the series, we watch as Trinity collapses on the floor as she goes into shock, Ivan dropping his scrap materials, and the fire alarm going off while Raven glances at them through a window, looking evil. Oh no. And so we ended off with the neighbor, once again, zoning out during the credits. Ruh-roh. So that's episode 1, and it's a pretty good start to get back in. It is a good introduction to the gang now, and a taste of what their investigations will be about. Now, I do think it's weird that a flashback was crammed into this episode, but we'll have to wait and see what its purpose is. But overall, this is a really good start. Okay, I'm bored. Let's move on to episode 2. Trinity is experiencing a nightmare where crows and previous kill count members reside, along with Otto. For some reason, Ember, a fan favorite in the community, transforms into a skinwalker to warn her about a big-ass coin hunting her. Wait, hold on. Is that her endgame version? What is she doing in the mirrors? What the hell? After a lot of running, she does a smart play by moving out of the way instead of going forward. causing the coins to crush into her house. The nightmare ends with a bunch of coins and crows swarming her while she watches her parents burn. Whoa! She wakes up in the hospital where her parents are fine, along with the no jawline principal, as they wait for her. I'm not sure why, but Trinity starts to get suspicious of the principal, along with some convenient flashbacks to save on the cost. Finch, also known as the Scout, makes a brief cameo, which is cool. I'm excited for her to become a main part of the cast in season 3, which reportedly she will be. Although she does call Nikki Sick Nick, you know. Way to go, bully. What the... what is going on in the other room? You know, how thoughtful. He was kidnapped, bro. What's wrong with you? And also, why does Trinity sit in the middle seat? Like, I know it's to make the shots of the car look more clear, but personally, I would be sitting on the side, unlike this nerd. Late at night, almost the entire group meets up afterward at the park to vent about the bad stuff that happened to them after Trinity dozed off. Endo and Maritza's parents got jumped by squirrels, had rabies shots, and got a ticket from an officer.
The same cop who stole coins from Peterson's house?
Also, I was right about Leslie stealing the coins rather than a bribe. Officer goes into the house. He quickly carries the bag from the episode 3 to his car, as we now see that it contains coins. But besides Enzo saying it was a bribe, I think Officer Leslie stole the coins, as Mr. Peterson is shown to be pissed off. Delroy interrupts by saying, quote, "Freaky ass. Wow. Too far, bro, too far." So he explains how his dog, called Dog, yeah, presumably got run over. And I mean like cut in half, while being taken by the taxidermist. Yeah, sad, I know. You wouldn't know by Delroy's reaction, as he says it with a straight face, for some reason.
Crap! The creepy taxidermist again!
You saying my dog's getting stuck?
Huh? Okay. Ivan intervenes and says how he has the worst story of all. He explains how he had his literal weapon taken away for being, a weapon, but suddenly it accidentally strikes the principal, thus suspending him while also being investigated. Throughout all these stories, a single gold coin was left, signaling that it was the guest, now known as Crowface, who was responsible for their troubles. They start to theorize on who Crowface is, but can't agree on one suspect, so they go to Nikki for help.
I mean, you're being pretty sus right now.
She said it, she said sus. A poor choice of words leaves Nikki to start to mentally break down, slamming his window hard enough to break the glass, shouting that the gang is going to die, and throwing a f***ing chair out for good measure. And honestly, this scene is really good. I really love it. Well, that was weird. But now they're gonna have to go to Mr. Peterson to find out who Crowface truly is. So because the guest just wants to rub salt in the wound by bombing the house and dooming Trinity and her friends. Wow, too far, bro, too far. And to end off this episode, instead of Mr. Peterson zoning out a window, it's Trinity. An epic use of foreshadowing. So, this best highlights the goods and bads of the series. The main thing holding the show back is the budget. For starters, some of the scenes are just storyboards rather than being fully animated, while reusing scenes from the first season. It's really obvious that this season was faced with many budget cuts. I mean, the show looks really good, but the animation itself leaves a lot to be desired, as it ranges from okay to cheap quickly, with the main thing saving the visuals being the amazing backgrounds. I personally like a lot of the dialogue and the characters just being funny, but unfortunately, the script is just not that good, allowing for some really weird lines to make it through. Overall, it just feels like the series needs more money just to have a better script and animation. I still really enjoy the series because it's goofy as hell and it's entertaining to watch, especially with friends. That's what makes this series so good, is that it manages to be entertaining even with a small budget. Okay, I don't know how to transition to episode 3, so this is it, episode 3. Unlike every other episode so far, we begin with a flashback rather than a normal opening. We watch as Lucy travels through the Golden Apple amusement park and to the roller coaster. The place is clearly adapted from Hello Engineer, and although the game sucks, I do really like the environment. So it's really cool to see them brought into the series. Unfortunately, while on the roller coaster, Lucy is struck by lightning and goes missing. Her parents and Mr. Peterson appear with a terrified look on their faces as her red balloon drifts away into the intro. Wow, dude, this show, I can't believe that they toned down this scene so much. Oh good golly. Going back to the books and the general canon, we see that the show's interpretation of the tragedy is very different. For starters, at least in the original canon, this is a tragedy. It was the opening day of the Golden Apple amusement park, and Lucy was in the front row. The ride itself was described to be really intimidating, with many loops, drops, and turns. Unfortunately, the ride's bad brake system allowed for Lucy's cart to derail and fly into a tree, killing her. Yeah, they really did that. They really did do that. The park instantly shut down and was burned by the townsfolk. And throughout Ravenbrooks, even years later, the town is still haunted by the tragedy. Yeah, I think I prefer this over the cartoons version. Now, the park did shut down in the show, but it's nowhere near as impactful as it once was. Hell, even the main group doesn't even know about the place, which is not the case in the normal canon. Not only was Maya one row behind her rather than being on a stupid Ferris wheel, and not only was Mercer there too, but they were also best friends. It is insane how much was left out of this scene, although I could see why a lot has changed in this series. The writers are doing their own thing and trying to make it where fans and random viewers can watch a plot twist or a major scene without knowing it will happen, and surprise. Besides that, the neighbor still looks to be the inventor of the park, and we even get to see his family. I really hope nothing bad happens to them. Okay, I think we should move on from this scene already. The gang prepared to break into the prison with the help of the $5 helicopter DLC. And just like the game, it is an absolute waste of money. Thankfully, it does somehow manage to destroy all the electricity in the vicinity, allowing for Trinity to break in surprisingly easily. And so after 2 episodes, we finally see Mr. Peterson again, who's been locked up for life. Trinity questions the man about the coins and all the bad luck, where in a scene straight out of Silence of the Lambs, he explains how they're both trapped in the guest's grasp. She eventually figures out that the coin has a use in his house, right before the neighbor tries to catch her while looking like this. Ew! We cut to Nicky walking home. We're starting to turn his life around after the events of last season. I mean, he was kidnapped. Kind of. It is a kidnapping though. It has some clear trauma. Trinity doesn't give a f and drags him back to the house. Dude, Trinity, he has trauma. What the hell is wrong with you? After wasting her coin on an animatronic that, despite what the show wants you to think, is not scary, Trinity receives a black book with various doodles. But little do they know, the guest is also rummaging around this house and spots the two. Nicky is targeted by the guest and has to endure the stupid jump from the games. Bro, why does the show hate him so much? Just if it couldn't get any worse for him, he gets spooked and almost falls to his death, only being saved by the plot. They then hide in a wardrobe, an obvious reference to none other than if Hello Neighbor was realistic. The guest passes by them, but the goat Quentin manages to find them. But for some reason, the two run in the same direction that the guest went. Of course, Nicky trips in the most avoidable obstacle, but right when the guest approaches him, he's crushed by a bookshelf. The goat Quentin saves him and guides the two out of the house. Although, Crowface still stands, looking really cool, I'm gonna be honest. We learned that our glorious king is a journalist who's currently investigating the missing kids, ranging from Maya and Aaron to Lucy Yi. Oh yeah, she's just missing now, you know, just to rub salt in the wound. Nicky is clearly pissed off by Trinity, and is even more mad when he finds out that she visited Mr. Peterson. And at this point, he's at one of his lowest points right now. So, okay, let's make it even worse. First of all, he's being publicly humiliated by the newspaper's front page because of Finch. Second of all, he's still being pushed by Trinity to just get over it. And third of all, he's being chased by none other than the thing from Hello Neighbor. Holy hell. All he could do was run away from the humility and the fear to the dumpsters, where even at his lowest, he's still being tormented and goes back into wearing the mask and curling up in a corner. And finally, we end off this episode with Trinity zoning out of a window again. So this episode was like kind of fun. We're starting to get a ton of exposition like the theme park and the thing, but unfortunately they don't really get expanded on in this season, which sucks. But I think they wanted to set up these plot points and mysteries so that we could start to wonder before they're revealed. Besides that, the guest has become more of a threat, but I don't think he's as good as Mr. Peterson, the obvious goat. Sure, he looks mysterious and makes these clacking sounds, but he isn't as intimidating as the man himself. He doesn't feel like the season's main bad guy, as there really isn't one. As you'll see, the season is structured very differently from the first. Instead of a group gradually investigating their neighbor, this season is all about Trinity discovering the secrets about the coins and Crowface, with the gang being dragged along in these major break-ins almost every episode. There's just more of a back and forth. However, this next episode marks the point where the season really becomes intense, so let's get into it. Also, the camera zooms into Trinity's low quality eyes at the end. That's pretty funny. what do that clue do?
Soon, then they'll see. They'll all see.
Holy sh**, they're reopening the park. This is what I was talking about. This never happened in the lore. In fact, the place was completely demolished. So, you know, that's cool. The gang split off to find out who Crowface is in different areas and homes. The only way they could communicate is with their phones, which conveniently have worse signal so that they could disconnect when something bad happens. Also, Ivan, who was going to track through the cell signal of a FaceTime with a bunch of kids? Well, I could think of a few, but still dumb. Ivan suspects that it's Murtaugh because he gave him a B+ on his last assignment. And you know, it's just generally kind of weird and a creep. After the worst investigation of all time, he's almost caught by the weirdo, but escapes into the hallway. Or does he? Uh-oh. Enzo and Murtaugh break into the town hall, where the mayor's house is connected to, huh? Leslie hands over the blueprints for the amusement park to the mayor while this banger plays in the background. However, the two accidentally break the man's jukebox, and now he can't dance. Oh yeah, and they also get caught too.
Split up! He can't catch us both! But what if he catches one of us?
I'm sorry, that was like kind of funny. Why is this show kind of funny? This was not supposed to happen. Leslie goes back and forth between the two siblings, where he ultimately decides to chase Maritza. We see as she continues to run, but then the thing goes out and there's a mystery and stuff. Oh no! Enzo, like the dumbass he is, decides to stand in the middle of the road to ask for help, even though the rest of them aren't even in walking distance. And to end it off, Enzo literally gets run over by the stupid truck. Delroy breaks into the taxidermist's home, where he finds his dog has already been stuffed. I do like how he finally shows emotion towards his dog, but when he sees that the taxidermist turns the animals into colorful prizes in the most sadistic way, Delroy is too scared and runs away, which in hindsight was a bad idea to ditch dog, because a bunch of crows start to swarm him right before his connection cuts off. Trinity's main suspect is the principal, and after some sneaking, she's proven right by the handwriting. However, at this point, she's the only one left, besides Ivan's phone, which the guest is holding, also contradicting Trinity's theory about the principal. She then skedaddles away to Nikki's surprisingly creepy home, where she finds his room in disarray. Also, the spiral thing is really cool. I really love the sound of it. Dude, like, the show, yeah, it's pretty good. Nikki is slowly getting worse, as he loses his identity, while leaving Trinity all alone. She gets desperate and meets up with the only person who can help.
Hello, neighbor.
This show is so good. I personally think that this episode starts to show just how far Trinity is willing to go to find out these mysteries. There is so much tension with Mr. Peterson, Nikki, her friends. The show is also getting more stylized, with the proper reintroduction of the jumbled language from the games and the creative transitions to scenes. Although it isn't one of the top 3 episodes in this series, with many mysteries to be answered, especially the suspects and their connection to the amusement park. However, I think this episode is outshined by the next one, which, just like, you had to be there, you had to be there. No intro title this time. We cut to Delroy being chased through the forest. However, it seems like he's too slow for the guest, and we cut to the title card.
You don't want to make a deal with the devil.
Mr. Peterson has gradually become older. Throughout each episode, he's grown hair and has become noticeably paler. He intimidates Trinity with the information he knows about her, like the details on how we could see their house and her room. Okay, dude, put this man on a list now. But even when he's in prison, he knows that Trinity's obsessed, just like in her old town, Shelbyville, where she moved because she was too nosy. Oh yeah, notice this cool animation error, where the car reflection only appears on his right lens. Oh wait, that's a car. Oh, move out the way! It turns out that the truck driver is the guest, where he chases Enzo to a construction zone. Enzo is almost caught plenty of times. No, not the crotch! But is still intimidated by the guest level 100 aura. Wow, this video is really not gonna age well after like 2 weeks. Ivan survived and is being chased in the school, but who cares about that because there's an imposter among them. Well, according to Mr. Peterson. He also really misses Nikki, which he points out a lot through the episodes. We also get the reveal that the guest relies on the miserable lives of the townsfolk so that his life is a-okay, or should I say, their life. Ruh-roh. It turns out that there's a ton of them, and I mean they are everywhere. Everybody's a crow-face lurking. Delroy is jumped by 3 of them and is washed away into the river. And Ivan, oh no, He also encounters the guest at every corner and retreats back to Murtaugh's class. But when all seems bad, he appears. He's weird, yeah, but normal. And then the crow faces appear, but the professor is confused. He isn't a guest. Although he spied on the kids, where in the prior episode it seems like he quickly turned into the guest and mentioned how he was attending a meeting, which could be between him and other cult members. That's just... no, he's innocent.
Well, you're not a good man, Arthur, but you're not all bad.
He's concerned for his students' safety and defends it with a bottle of acid. He gives enough time for Ivan to run to the classroom and not only defends himself, but also fights back. No! Murtaugh! Why? It should have been me, no! I don't know why this scene is so sad. Throughout the series, he has been portrayed as this really weird creep. But the whole time, he was a good man. And also a creep. I think what really makes this scene so impactful is that it's so brutal. Ivan's own invention was used to cut the man. And the agony of his final word, fly high, King. You will be missed. Damn, how am I gonna transition back to the show after that tragedy? Oh damn, wait, how am I gonna transition? You know what, just whatever. Mr. Peterson explains how those first few that died in the beginning of the show weren't because of him, which is actually correct. As if you look back on the scenes, there wasn't a link from the bodies to Mr. Peterson. They just died right before his eyes. And the fact that each one of them dropped a coin explains that the guest was responsible for all of it. The car accident, the dead man, the slippery stairs. And maybe they were responsible for the car crash that took the man's wife.
I'm good.
Take it, you sniveling pest! Take my hand! Take my hand! Take it! Take it!
This doesn't look good out of context, or even in context. The whole gang meets up in Trinity's house, which is totally fine even though it was burnt down in a prior episode. There's a lot of bickering, Nikki zoning out, and damn it, Ivan, I'm trying to get over his loss too. Although in a sudden change, we end off this episode with Nikki's broken window. Wow, this is good, but how does it compare to the books? So the episode is actually pretty accurate to the lore from the games, but it's also very different in aspects. For starters, it is a cult. They are known as a Tavish society, and their whole shtick is to curse the town so that they could have good luck. Luck and supernatural rituals are more common throughout. However, they are not meant to be confused with the guest, who is theorized to be the one that the Tavish society worships. Although not too much is currently known about the guest, we can still tell that there's a difference between the two. Not in the show though, they are all the guests now, instead of wearing more of a cult-like outfit. Honestly, that took me by surprise. And I'm a massive Hello Neighbor fan. Was that a good reveal? Yes. Did I like it? I still don't know how I feel about this reveal. I do think it's cool that the Tavish society is being built up and expanded on. However, I don't like the fact that this is the supposed identities of the guests, and the fact that there is more than one guest in general. I would have much preferred it if they looked like their endgame counterpart, to be honest. Although this just confuses me so much. Like, I don't even know what the guest stands for anymore, and his role in the story. He was being built up as this big bad that even the neighbor was afraid of. However, he could be flipping burgers in his spare time. So now we're about to move on to episode 6, and there's a lot to talk about. For starters, we know that one of the kids is gonna betray the squad, since the title Secret Neighbor. You know, just like the game, where one of the kids is the neighbor in disguise. The neighbor pointed out the 3 main suspects in this episode. It could be Nikki. Oh, wait, actually, never mind, he's too weird. Moving on, Ivan has been long teased to betray the squad, and it's been teased for a long time for now. Or it could even be Maritza. I mean, we didn't see her pointed throughout the ambush, so let's see. We finally get to see Maritza's point of view of her running away, but then the guest approaches and kidnaps her. Yup, it's her. She's the secret neighbor. Cue the intro. The gang are recovering from almost getting kidnapped. Except Maritza. She's obviously the neighbor by now. The next day, Trinity decides to trap the cult to stop their supervillainy, which is a weird plan, but I'll hear her out. I don't know what to think of that transition. Trinity decides to set up the trap inside of Mr. Peterson's house and use the book as a bait. However, she gets herself trapped with her friends, who eventually abandon the mission, except Maritza, who just stares into the void. She manages to escape with the help of the obligated Van Crawl in every indie horror, and manages to use the trap for herself. However, Nikki shows up on the side door, where he spouts a bunch of nonsense like danger, death, despair, Hello Neighbor 2 Patch 10 will never come out. Just nonsense. Right?
Wait.
Not for the prey, but I'm the predator now.
Okay, I think it's just my mind's fault for being this weird. Suddenly, her trap does the trap thing, but Nikki won't let her go. So she does the only normal thing and locks him in the basement. What is wrong with you? Nikki is having the worst life right now. I feel so bad for the kid. He does not deserve this torment. She goes back upstairs to find Maritza in the cage. Okay, yeah, at this point, just say you're the secret neighbor. Maritza runs out as fast as she can with the book, and for some reason, it takes Trinity a millennia to realize she's the traitor. After the most unsubtle ad placement I've ever seen in a TV show, almost being run over for a third time by the same truck and fumbling this simple jump, we get to know why Maritza is betraying the team with a flashback.
We know your secrets, neighbor.
Holy they said the thing. The guest threatens to hurt her family, especially her brother, if she doesn't give them the black book. Honestly, this is one of my favorite scenes. For starters, this is the first time we hear the guests, and they sound really cool. I really like the mix between the crow's sounds and the human speeches.
We need Peterson's black book, and you're going to get it for us.
They also do some really good thumbnail poses, while also displaying some really good imagery. This scene is just really good. I like how it's set up. Now, I have absolutely no idea when this takes place, and if this is where they were ambushed, she couldn't have helped with that. And if this was beforehand, the framing just kind of throws it off. So it's, you know, up to interpretation, I guess. We cut back to the chase, where the rest of the group notices. They question Trinity about what's been happening, but she explains everything. However, they don't trust her. They don't want to follow her. When she finally explains all the things she's did, it's clear that she's completely lost it. Ever since season 2, she has slowly started to neglect her friends, putting them in danger and forcing them to go on dangerous adventures. Their families and school life have been drastically affected because of her. They have been hurt and faced with death multiple times, but she doesn't care about anything except her investigations. Nikki especially, God bless his soul. She has made him go back to his traumatic place, got him in danger, inadvertently got him bullied, caused a manifestation of his trauma to take him over, lied about not seeing Mr. Peterson, and locked him in the basement again. She is a bad friend, so it's no surprise that her friends don't join her this time. Maritza goes into the catacombs and delivers the black book, and although she's guaranteed her family's safety, it seems that her friends were left out of the deal, especially Trinity. Suddenly, static takes over the screen, revealing a playground. Not a cartoon playground, but a real live-action playground. We get to see the Party City mask, and with a few spins, we get to see what the point of the scene is. A script for Hello Neighbor, written by Tyler McIntyre and produced by Boulder Light Pictures. So this was initially going to be the final episode. However, it was decided to move the season 3 premiere to the season 2 finale. But if you thought we were going to get answers instead of a cliffhanger, ha, you're wrong! Damn it, I forgot to mention that the credits for the last episode had Trinity absent from her room. My bad, gang. Trinity once again is back in prison, where she encounters one of the guests, dead, presumably by the neighbor. Uh-oh! After the title screen, we cut back to Trinity being kidnapped and put into a taxidermy room. She manages to escape, but finds out she's trapped in the Golden Apple amusement park. The guests are there too, unscrewing and tampering with the rides. Trinity is reported to be on the run, and the guests split up to hunt her down. And honestly, forget what I said about them not being too intimidating. The sounds they make alone are actually cool as hell. It's confirmed that the Golden Apple amusement park is reopening, and it also looks like the guests are tampering with the rides, so that many bodies could be added to a kill count. Trinity does a smart thing and totally gets a not GUN that doesn't infringe on YouTube's strict guidelines, although she uses it as a distraction, rather than a weapon. So good on you for not affecting the guidelines, Trinity. But never mind actually, you, you're going to boarding school. Since she sneaks off to an abandoned amusement park, in a prison like every day, gets her friends in trouble, and sounds insane without any context. Her parents decided to throw her into boarding school, and although they still try to comfort her, she storms off. At school, her and Maritza go back and forth on who is wrong, and ultimately break up the friend group. Delroy is the first to leave, with Maritza following behind. Although Enzo doesn't tag along with her, even though she did so much to protect him, but he also abandons Trinity.
I thought I liked you, but things were better before you came to Ravenbrook. A lot better.
Damn, Enzo, what the... Like, that's so mean and too far, bro, too far. Enzo is the last to go, and... Dude, why? Ivan has become my favorite character since the second season, because he's just fun. He's a good character. He has been consistently funny and cares about the group the most. First, he witnesses the death of his teacher who tried to protect him, and now he sees the club disband. This show can actually get a bit sad. Now, it's not often, but there are times where I actually care about these characters. Although it only gets worse for Trinity, as she walks into Nikki going completely insane. He even starts to jump her with the weakest punches in history. He is ultimately detained and driven away, with his mask being the only thing left behind. Trinity tries to pack up, but the guilt drives her to make one final Hail Mary. She decides to go back to the prison to free Mr. Peterson. At this point, she's already lost everything, so this desperate act will hopefully be successful and not backfire on her. Right? I mean, just looking at him, compared to the beginning of episode 2, he has just deteriorated so much. He explained how the guests took almost everything. His family, his job, everyone that he cares about. The last thing he had was his son, Aaron. But Trinity and her friends helped him run away. Thus, Theo leaves her to rot in prison, while he walks away a free man, as the credits roll by. Wow, I really hope we don't have to wait another year for this to be resolved. This is one of the strongest cliffhangers I've seen in a show so far. Also, Hello Neighbor 3 was revealed right after, but who cares? Season 3 has been confirmed to be the last season, and it's going to be really intense from the looks of it. There are just so many questions that still aren't answered. Why is the weather station, also known as Mayak, and Theo's brother so important? Why is the park reopening? What's the cult's big plan? And just the many details about them. Is Nikki going to survive? Is the group going to get back together? And it's not just questions from the first season. It was stated that someone died in Trinity's house. So what happened? Ivan met Mr. Peterson once. Why is he weird about the man? And finally, what happened to Aaron? We have been given a few teasers about the final season, but we can't say for sure what will happen. We can only wait for the series to end and my final recap video to be uploaded. This series is so weird, but so much fun. First, I want to get the negatives out of the way, because reasons. The pacing of not only the scenes, but also the frames themselves feel really off. Sometimes the shot could still linger along while nothing is just happening. Just the editing overall is not that good. This also affects the dialogue, with some of the lines just being bad. It also doesn't connect well to the games and other media. The show also really just tries to scare you all the time. Like, there are just so many stock jump scares, sound effects in the show for no reason. Like, a camera could cut to a Pringles can and there would be a Vine book. The budget is just not there. There are so many obvious cut corners that affect the presentation. There are around only 6 episodes a season, being only 12 minutes each. Although the show is just cheap, I still love it. Everyone who worked on the series clearly put their love, sweat, and tears into this. The backgrounds save the visuals and are just actually beautiful. The soundtrack is an actual banger as always. It's just so catchy and memorable. A good amount of the time the show could be really funny. It's rare, but it still happens. And also, this show could get really cool and dark, especially with the drama and deaths that occur. The mysteries and reveals are effective as always, to both new viewers and fans of the franchise. But what I think makes this show so much fun is the fact that it knows what it is. A dark kids cartoon based on the Hello Neighbor games. It doesn't treat itself like it has a massive budget, nor is it confusing for new fans. It's the opposite of Hello Neighbor 2, where they managed to deliver on the small promises, rather than getting Mr. Beast to sponsor the game and promote it like it's a AAA game. Like I said in my previous video, it's just one big love letter to the games. And from what I've seen, people love the show. Maybe not a lot of the fans, but the general audience does. Again, please watch the series yourself. This video is supposed to be an analysis, recap, and review of the series, and not intended to steal the viewers away. But the effect of the show and the recent output of Tiny Build as a whole is a really interesting topic, especially the bad reputation of the franchise. So I'll be making a video about the books in a 2-part review, and then I will make a complete analysis on the failure that is Hello Neighbor 2. But finally, stay tuned for my next video, where I talk about the fan game late night shift in the Hello Neighbor community. But for now, we'll just have to wait for Season 3 to come out, so I'll see you later. Alright, scram now.